Nobody blows up a small trading account because the market was too difficult. They blow it up because somewhere deep inside, they believe one trade can fix everything. That belief is dangerous because it doesn't sound dangerous. It sounds like confidence. It sounds like conviction. It sounds like opportunity. Beneath all those names, it's usually fear. Fear of being behind, fear of missing out, fear of accepting that success in trading takes longer than we want it to. And that fear has destroyed more accounts than any market crash ever could. Think about it. Every trader starts with hope, small account, big goals, and the belief that if they work hard enough, success will come quickly. Somewhere along the journey, something changes. Losses happen. Confidence gets shaken. Patience starts disappearing. And the temptation to make everything back with one trade becomes almost impossible to ignore. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 rules that legendary trading psychologist Mark Douglas believed every trader must master if they want to grow a small account without blowing it up. These aren't rules about indicators. They're not rules about finding perfect entries. They're not rules about predicting the market. They're rules about protecting your mind. Because once your thinking breaks down, your account is already in danger. If you stay until the end, you'll discover why the 3rd rule is the one that separates consistently profitable traders from everyone else. Let's begin. Most traders think they lose because of bad strategies. They blame the market. They blame manipulation. They blame news events. They blame bad luck. But the truth is much simpler. Small accounts don't fail because traders lack information. They fail because traders abandon discipline. Every blown account follows a predictable pattern. It starts with a few losses. Nothing dramatic. Just enough losses to create discomfort. Then comes frustration. Then impatience. Then a dangerous thought appears. What if I just risk a little more on the next trade? What if this setup is different? What if this is the trade that changes everything? At first, it sounds reasonable. But that thought is the beginning of the end. Because the moment you start looking at a single trade as your solution, you're no longer trading probabilities. You're gambling on outcomes. And trading is not a game of certainty. It's a game of probabilities. Professional traders understand that no single trade matters. Amateur traders believe every trade matters. That difference changes everything. One group focuses on execution. The other focuses on results. One survives. The other eventually blows up. The market isn't your enemy. Your inability to accept uncertainty is. And that's exactly why Mark Douglas spent so much time teaching traders how to think. Because before you can manage risk, you must learn to manage yourself. Part 2, Rule number 1. Risk only what doesn't affect your psychology. 4:07 o'clock. This is the first rule. And it may be the most misunderstood concept in trading. Only risk an amount that you can lose without it affecting your emotional state. Notice what that means. Not what you can financially afford to lose. What you can psychologically afford to lose. There's a huge difference. Most traders calculate position size using numbers. The market doesn't test your calculator. It tests your emotions. You may believe you're comfortable risking $100. But what happens when the trade immediately moves against you? Your heart rate increases. You start checking the chart every few seconds. You become distracted. You start hoping instead of following your plan. That's not a money problem. That's a psychology problem. Mark Douglas believed that your true position size is determined by your emotional comfort, not your financial capability. If losing a trade changes how you feel, your position is too large. It's that simple. Before every trade, ask yourself one question. If this trade hits my stop loss right now, how would I feel? Be brutally honest. If the answer involves fear, anxiety, panic, or stress, reduce your size. The goal isn't to maximize profits. The goal is to remain emotionally neutral. Because emotional neutrality creates consistency. And consistency creates growth. Most traders think trading success comes from finding bigger winners. In reality, it comes from surviving long enough for your edge to play out. And survival always starts with proper risk management. The second rule sounds easy, but it's one of the hardest things a trader will ever do. Execute the trade exactly as planned. No exceptions. No adjustments. No emotional modifications. Before entering a trade, you're calm. You can think clearly. You can analyze objectively. You can define your entry, your stop loss, or take profit. Everything makes sense. Then the trade goes live. And suddenly, your emotions enter the conversation. Fear tells you the stop loss is too close. Greed tells you the target is too small. Hope tells you to hold a losing trade longer. Ego tells you the market will come back. Before you know it, you've completely abandoned the plan. Most traders call this adaptation, but in reality, it's often fear disguised as intelligence. That's a difficult truth to accept, because fear rarely announces itself. It arrives wearing a logical argument. It sounds reasonable, feels justified, but underneath the story is usually the same motivation, the desire to avoid pain. Mark Douglas taught that your trading plan should function like a contract signed by the rational version of yourself, the version that existed before emotions took control. And once the trade begins, your job isn't to negotiate with that contract. Your job is to honor it. Because every time you follow your plan, you strengthen trust in yourself. And every time you break it, you weaken that trust. Consistency is built through repetition, not perfection. Now let's talk about something nobody likes discussing: losing streaks. Because eventually, every trader experiences one. Even profitable traders. Even professionals. Even traders with proven systems. The market doesn't care about your confidence. And sometimes probability produces outcomes that feel impossible. 5 losses, 6 losses, 8 losses in a row. It happens, and that's when the real test begins. Because during a losing streak, a dangerous question starts forming in your mind. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe trading isn't for me. Maybe everyone else can do this, except me. That question is where accounts actually die. Not in the losses themselves, but in the emotional reaction to those losses. Because once doubt takes over, traders start searching for rescue trades. The big trade, the perfect setup, the opportunity that fixes everything. And that's usually the trade that destroys them. The solution isn't finding a better strategy. The solution is deciding in advance how you'll respond during a losing streak. What will you do after 5 consecutive losses? Will you reduce risk? Will you review your journal? Will you continue following your rules? Make that decision now, not during the streak. Because the trader you become during a drawdown won't think clearly. The rule must already exist before the emotions arrive. This is the third rule. It may be the most powerful lesson Mark Douglas ever taught. Stop judging individual trades. Most traders evaluate themselves based on outcomes. Winning trade makes them feel smart. Losing trade makes them feel incompetent. Neither conclusion is valid, because one trade means nothing. Trading is a probability business. Every trade is simply one data point. Nothing more, nothing less. Imagine flipping a coin. Even a perfectly fair coin can produce 10 heads in a row. That doesn't change the probabilities. And the same principle applies to trading. Profitable system can experience losing streaks. Bad system can experience winning streaks. Short-term results are often misleading. Professional traders understand this. They focus on execution, not outcomes. Instead of asking, "Did I make money today?" ask, "Did I follow my rules today?" Because rules are within your control. Outcomes are not. Losing trade executed perfectly is still a successful trade. Winning trade executed poorly is still a mistake. When you learn to think this way, your relationship with trading changes forever. Powerful ending. 15-16-30. Let me leave you with one final thought. Traders who succeed aren't necessarily smarter. They aren't luckier. They don't possess secret knowledge. Traders who survive simply learn to trust their process more than their emotions. They understand that success isn't built in a single trade. It's built one decision at a time, one rule at a time, one disciplined action at a time. They stop trying to get rich quickly and start focusing on becoming consistent. Because consistency is what eventually creates wealth. Remember the 3 rules. Risk only what won't affect your psychology. Execute every trade exactly as planned. Stop judging yourself by individual results. If you can do those 3 things consistently, you'll already be ahead of the vast majority of traders in the market. Not because you'll win every trade, but because you'll survive long enough for your edge to work. And in trading, survival is everything. The market will always offer another opportunity, another setup, another trade. The question is simple. Will you still be there to take it? Protect your thinking, protect your discipline, protect your process, and the results will take care of themselves. Thank you for watching. And remember, traders who master themselves eventually master the market.